Brett, what types of residential properties might have a flat roof? Do you see that a lot in your area?
Yeah, there's a fair number of flat roofs on residential properties in our area. They can be anywhere, and there's a lot of different types. The most typical type that I would say that we see is usually in a more metropolitan area, more urban area, so not out in the burbs. But if, for instance, we're based here in Manchester, a lot of the buildings here in downtown Manchester are multi-story, sometimes multi-family buildings, and it's very typical for them to have a flat roof. So a lot of the multifamily buildings are maybe a two-family or a three-family, a triple-decker, or that type thing, as
Hmm.
they would say in Boston. That is, one floor, one family, another floor, another family, third floor, another family, flat roof on top. So there's a lot of that. Also, apartment structures are frequently done in that manner here. So it's typically a little more in the more metropolitan areas, but by the same token, we've also found flat roofs on ranch homes in the burbs. So that works too.
And what types of roofing materials or systems work best for residential flat roofs, and what factors go into selecting the correct one?
Sure. The predominant, well, historically, there's a lot of, and there's still a lot of them out there. A lot of times these are older buildings, these multi-families that have been converted maybe. And a lot of those have old tar and gravel roofs, which is exactly what it sounds like. Someone put down essentially boards and poured tar and gravel on it, which was a great system for 100 years. It was better than the alternatives that were available. That's no longer anything that's really done for a whole variety of reasons. The biggest one being we have better alternatives. So a lot of times what we're finding is old roofs that had maybe originally been tar and gravel and then have had EPDM rubber applied over them. Because 30 years ago when they last had that roof redone, someone said, "Hey, no one's doing tar and gravel anymore. Let's get and get into rubber." So we do a lot of EPDM rubber roofs on properties like that. The other thing that is it's more common commercially, but it's perfectly applicable and a great solution residentially is TPO, thermoplastic olefin. So it's almost a vinyl slash plasticky like product that offers some really great advantages because it essentially becomes a seamless product on the roof, whereas rubber is essentially sheets that are glued together. From a consumer's point of view, look at it like that. So if I had
Hmm.
sheets of paper and I took an Elmer's glue stick and ran it down the seam and stuck them together, it's a little bit like that. EPDM, once we use our robotic heat welder on the seams and then hand heat welders on other certain fine details, um, literally when we're done, it becomes one continuous single entity, one continuous
Mm.
sheet of this vinyl plastic stuff that has a really great lifespan and is very unlikely to leak.
Right, it's
So
never going to peel apart like the layers
it,
on a rubber roof might.
precisely, it literally
Yeah.
becomes, once it's been heat welded, it's literally one uniform sheet.
And how do you ensure proper drainage and protect against water damage on a flat roof on a residential building, especially in areas where there's heavy rainfall or like here in New England, a lot of snowfall that could build up?
Sure, that's in making sure that there's, well, it depends what the drainage of that building is, but ultimately it comes on to proper pitch of the underlayment of the roof. So if it's a slightly pitched flat roof and the water just moves off, say from front to back, it's making sure that we maintain that pitch, that negative pitch from front to back, so that that water wants to proceed by way of gravity from the front of the roof to the back of the roof
Hmm.
and then go off into a gutter system or onto the ground or wherever it's going. We recommend gutters, otherwise you're pouring all that water next to your foundation. Um, if it's a roof, a lot of roofs have a roof drain or drains in them. So basically, if you, we've a lot of us in a garage have seen the drains that are in the floor. It's something a lot like that. That is actually in the roof. It's tied into the drainage system for the building, and through internal pipes, takes the water that accumulates on that roof and drains it out into the storm drain system or out into the, out onto the lawn or wherever, however it's set up. So it's making sure that that roof pitches towards those multiple built-in drains. The other option as well, a lot of times we've seen roofs where if you're looking at them from the outside, they have like a little wall around the edge of them, and that's called a parapet. If it's a parapet, if it's a roof with a parapet, a lot of times it has drainage. It is tapered to push the water towards these little slots in those parapets where it then drains off the roof. You've seen that in a lot of places where you see that little hole at the top and then usually some sort of drain pipe there, and that's called a scupper that's at the top that is collecting the water off the roof and dropping it down through a drain pipe. So the big thing in moving the water is making sure that it's properly tapered, either A, front to rear if it's just a gravity drainage, B, tapered towards the roof drains that are inset into the roof if it's that style drainage, or C, if it has a scupper system, that it's again properly tapered to drive water towards each respective scupper.
And what maintenance steps should homeowners follow to extend the lifespan of a residential flat roof?
Sure. One of the two biggest things I would tell you is, number one, have some light annual maintenance done. Have someone get up there and make sure that those drains are all free and clear every year. Probably a great time to do it is in the fall after the leaves have dropped, right? Have someone blow off that flat roof if it's accumulated everything, clear out your drains, make sure they're ready to get that water away, because water, when it comes, if it pools in the winter, turns into ice, and ice expands and is very disruptive. So making sure that you're maintaining those drains, and also addressing any small leaks that occur as you find them. If all of a sudden you're getting that dark spot up on your ceiling in the dining room, that's water is causing that. And as soon as you notice that, reach out to us. Let us get someone up there, figure out what the source of that water is, and address it while it's still a very small issue. While we're doing that, we can do roof surveys for you as well that also help you understand how your roof is aging. So we're up there, and if it's an EPDM roof, how are the seams holding up? How's the elasticity? Is this thing breaking down? And then you can start as a homeowner to plan for, when is this roof going to need replacing? The guys from Master Roofers are telling me this thing's probably got 10 or 12 years left in it. Okay, great. The guys at Master Roofers are telling me it's got 2 or 3 years left in it. It's near end of life. Okay, I can at least plan for that. Or, hey, I hope we get to go there and tell you that, hey, you've got another 20 years plus left in this roof. But by having that professional roofer come, do a little bit of maintenance on your roof, address any small issues that they see, and then give you that written roofing report and pictures of what you've got, you can now plan on what you're going to have to do to either A, continue to maintain it, or B, plan for replacement and budget for that.
You mentioned that residential properties with flat roofs are often multifamily dwellings. Are you typically dealing with like a landlord who lives off-site, or potentially even on-site with a couple of other renters? What's the situation there, and how do you deal with potentially either multiple property owners or a single property owner who might be off-site?
Sure. If it's so honestly, the ones that we like the most, I don't know how else to say it, are the ones where, and they very typically are, an owner is on site, and you're right, they're using let's say it's a 3-family, and they're living there and they're using the other 2 as rental property. Mm-hmm. Now we get to work and we can have our conversation direct with the owner and decision maker, and he also is vested in wanting to do the right thing. Why? Because he lives here. Right? It's not simply a rental and income property for him. It's his home or her home. The second scenario, which is often happens, is it's a multifamily, let's say, again, maybe a 3-family, but it's owned, it has a private owner, but they're offsite. They're simply using it as an income property. We have to deal direct with the owner, and we coordinate a lot of times with the tenants for work to be done and access and that thing. But at the end of the day, we have to work with whomever the owner is and whatever decision they want. Obviously, that can be a little more challenging sometimes, and we try to stay out of the middle of it, because maybe the tenant wants X and the building owner wants Y. Right. Budget reasons, living condition reasons. and that can be a challenging spot for us. But again, at the end of the day, we're working with the property owner on that, whoever that is. And then, the last, situation is some of those have been turned into like condo type things, or they have as you say, multifamily. A good friend of mine lives in a two-family where it's not a stacked, it's side by side. She's half owner on this side. She has a neighbor
Sure.
who's half owner on that side. But they own certain things like the roof jointly. You don't do half a roof. You got to do the whole roof.
Hmm.
And a lot of times what we try and do there is we try and treat that like almost we try and treat that situation where we can get all the parties there and be talking to everyone. So yes, the leak may be on the right side, but the roof spans the entire thing. At some point, we would like to get both of the homeowners there and talk to them about the state of the roof, because it's not like one side's younger than the other. It's the same thing. So
Yeah.
we kind of treat it like, just like when we're visiting you at a single family home, we like to talk to, if there's a husband and wife there, for instance, we'd like to have both parties present so we can
Hmm.
explain it to both of them. If it's a multifamily, we'd like to have all the stakeholders present so we can explain the situation to all parties.
So when you are meeting with the homeowners, whoever they are, how do you balance the cost and durability and the aesthetics of the property when you're deciding on a flat roofing solution?
Sure. Typically, unless it's a historic home or something like that, it really comes down to a question of, with a flat roof on that thing, is investment and time frame. Very often, in multifamilies, they're looking to control the cost of investment in that. So we offer all the options that we have available to us to them, and we also offer financing to the owner as well. So they're typically not in a situation in a multifamily where they're worried about historic preservation or anything like that. It's about, how can I do this? How can I get a good roof for the best value?
Right.
And each property is a little different. Again, that's one of the reasons we're excited to be offering TPO solutions. Is a lot of times they're a little more cost effective than EPDM. It's a little newer technology as well, and it's also something that in the past really wasn't done on resident. It was much more predominant commercially, and the people who did residential flat roofs just didn't happen to do TPO. Since Master Roofers does both commercial and residential properties, it's very natural for us to go back and forth
Sure.
with the product. So a lot of times that allows us to offer maybe a slightly more advantageous investment cost, and again, pair that together with financing for the ownership.
All right. Well, that's really great information, Brett. Thanks again for speaking with me today.
Thanks so much for having me, John.
And for more information about Master Roofers, you can visit the website at masterroofers.com or call 603-623-4973.